everyone, Amanda here, Vlogmas day 8. So I'm looking a bit funny. I seem to have misplaced my glasses and can't find them, so I do apologise about that. Today the video is going to be about one of my favourite authors of all time. I used to love her as a child, and I thought that because I was doing a vintage Vlogmas, I'm sure around Christmas time, I certainly know from my childhood of Christmas time, Enid Blyton was a favourite children's author for a lot of children. So yeah, so today is going to be about Enid Blyton's books. Now, as a reseller, I pick them up in car boots sometimes, in charity shops. What I tend to do is I tend to bundle them. So I have collected all of the famous 5. There's 21 books of the famous 5. It took me a while, but I bundled that and I sold it on eBay. Quite a lot of money actually. So they still do tend to have a bit of revenue with them as well. I think the Dean and Son ones, usually probably, it depends on the backs and what they're like, and if the covers are still there. Sometimes they get ripped quite easily. Sometimes, you know, children draw in them, you know, or have sort of like, you know, To Mary, Love Auntie Sue or something, you know, Christmas 1970 is in the actual book, which is what a lot of people used to do in those days. So yeah, so you know, but they still are readable, a lot of them, and so they can still be sold anyway on eBay. And I've sold quite a few, to be honest with you. So they are quite a popular book. When it comes to beloved children's stories and tales, there are few who can be said to have given as much as Enid Blyton. Sometimes she produced 50 books a year. Enid truly never rested in providing stories for the younger generations. Enid and her first husband, Hugh Pollock, moved to Beaconsfield in 1938, buying an 8-bedroomed house set in 2.5 acres for £3,000. So in 1938, you'd be able to get an 8-bedroom house with 2.5 acres for £3,000. You wouldn't be able to get that these days, would you? It was demolished in 1973 and is now called Blyton Close. As a trained teacher, Enid invited her Sunny Stories readers to name her new home. From very young readers' suggestions, she chose Green Hedges. She received a large postbag every week from children and teachers and answered most of the letters herself. Gosh, she'd have been pretty busy then, because I mean, they didn't have email in those days, did they? So they would all be writing letters. Green Hedges became a world famous address. So basically, everybody wrote to her. She had the address. Everyone knew it. It was worldwide. That wouldn't happen in this day and age, would it? Everyone keeps their addresses so private nowadays. During her years at Green Hedges, she wrote all 21 famous 5 books, like I said, and as well as The Secret 7. In 1950, she created the most successful character, Noddy, and he was actually from Beaconsfield, Noddy, if you remember, in his first book, and the Toyland books. And they sold over 20 million copies, making her one of the most successful writers of the 20th century. But she certainly had an influence on me, as I used to read her books, you know, just for pleasure. I mean, when I was a child, I used to absolutely love them. I mean, my childhood was filled with Enid Blyton books. I remember my dad sitting on the stairs and we would listen intently as he read chapters of her books. When I was really young, he read The Magic Faraway Tree, which is this one here, as you can see. and the Enchanted Wood. So the Enchanted Wood is here. So there's the Enchanted Wood, Enid Blyton. These were actually one of my two favourites when I was really little. They still had the characters. There was Moonface and Silky, which was like a little fairy. Mr. What's his name, and Mr. Topsy Turvy, and I think there was a woman that used to throw the water out all the time. To name a few. I couldn't tell you the children's names. I just remember the actual characters' names, which used to sort of stand out to me, and Moonface definitely was one that stood out to me in illustration as well. In the Magic Faraway Tree, as you can see, and you probably all remember this because you've probably all had this read to you. But you can see the illustration there. There's Moonface. I always remember him like looking like the moon with a face. So it was just part of my childhood. And she did actually do write some Christmas books as well. I mean, she actually did the Christmas book first edition, sort of in the 1940s, and so she did quite a few Christmas books, although I've never come across a Christmas book ever. Never come across one yet. But when we were slightly, obviously, like slightly older as well, my dad would read different sort of like Enid Blyton books. Obviously, so somebody that doesn't know the Magic Faraway Tree, has never heard of it or never read it, but I can't believe that I'm going to be doing this video and nobody's ever heard of it. It was basically a big tree that some children discovered, and right at the top of the tree always was different lands, and the land would come up and the children would go up there, and Moonface and Silky would say, well, this land is here today, so shall we go up and explore it? And that's what they used to do. So it's great for like fantasy and things like that as well for children. I read my children as well, the Magic Faraway Tree, the Enchanted Wood. So I mean, they are definitely timeless books. And when we got slightly older, we got into the Children of Cherry Tree Farm, and then the Children of Willow Farm here. So I was actually, when I was young, I was very much into nature. So this book, particularly this book, the first one, really, really captured my imagination as well. It's about sort of 4 children that come from London, so they're city children, come into the country with their aunt and uncle, and they go exploring and meet a wild man called Tamlin, who is really like fantastic with animals. And there's the particular boy, the younger boy, he teaches him lots of things regarding animals, and you sort of learn as well in the book. I think Enid Blyton's really good at that, especially with this one, where she you teach things like, for instance, you know, why bats listen, such high frequencies, and things like that are in the book that maybe as a child of sort of like 7 and 8 you probably haven't really heard of yet. So sort of like trying to tune into a book like this would really help you with nature. So that's what I remember about that. And then they did do the second one. It wasn't quite as good. It still had Tamlin in it, but I definitely think Cherry Tree Farm is the better one, the first one. Although I did like that one. And then moving on as well, we got to, now I don't have any of the famous 5 at all, unfortunately. As I say, I collected them and then I sold them on eBay. But if you do see them, pick them up, because they are still worth a bit of money. And I can remember my dad sort of sitting there. We used to have a very, very tiny house, really. In fact, it was like a postage stamp, if I was honest. It was tiny, but it was warm and it was nice and it was cosy, you know, in the country. Yeah, and I had some lovely childhood memories there. And he'd read us Famous Five, which obviously is the 5 characters: Julian, Dick, Anne, George, and then Timmy's obviously the dog. And they would all sort of like, you know, as I say, go to their aunt and uncles and things. I think his name was Uncle Quentin, wasn't it? I remember Uncle Quentin. And they would always sort of like, you know, go exploring, and then they'd end up in like something like Five, do Smuggler's Cove, you know. And yeah, so there'd be a bit sleuths in a way, sort of like do a whole detective thing going on. But it was really good. The imagination for Enid Blyton as well, how she wrote them, was absolutely amazing. So, you know, and I think 5 on Treasure Island was one of my favourite as well, because as well, when you're reading it, you know, you're like, oh, I want to read the next chapter, because it was really good. It really captured children's imagination. And then obviously we went on to the Secret 7. Now, I love the Famous 5, you know, classic. Secret 7, I liked it. It was more for me as a teenager, but I just felt that the Secret 7 was more about in a gang, so they used to meet in a shed, and again, it was more like sort of like solving mysteries all the time. But I definitely, my preference, I don't know about you guys, but my preference is the Famous 5, although the Secret 7 was very good. And then, sort of when I was like, we were about 13, 14, my dad stopped reading to us because obviously we were getting older. And I think, you know, we were reading our own magazines then, sort of like, you know, was it Patches and Jackie and all those sort of things. And I started to read Mallory Towers, which is from Enid Blyton. And I've read the first term, second term, third term, I think fourth and fifth. I think she had 6 books in total anyway. And obviously that followed a girl called Daryl Rivers through her school years. And it was good as well. It was a good series, because it kind of taught children, like, you know, there's a bit of bullying in there, and, you know, and then Daryl finds her best friend there and things like that. So it kind of like was good to read for girls, I think. Yeah, it was a really, really good book, and I think that she was really good how she kind of used to capture the audience all the time as well, which was really good. So yeah, so I just thought I would come on here for Vlogmas 8 and really talk about Enid Blyton, because I just think that she was such a lovely illustrator and author. She really was. She actually wasn't born in Beaconsfield, though she actually lived there. She's from East Dulwich. Yeah, she was from East Dulwich, which was really nice place. So yeah, and I think while I was actually like deciding to do this, you know, we've got Brer Rabbit again. On the Enid Blyton series here, in the Dean and Sons, it's usually right on the back. It always has all of them on the back of the series. And this one here is the Book of Fairies, Enid Blyton. We've got the Book of Brownies. I think the Brownies one, they were always getting into mischievous. They were mischievous, the Brownies, weren't they? And also the imps as well were mischievous. And the goblins, they were the ones that used to, you know, not being very nice to Noddy, were they? So yeah, but yeah, so there's the Book of Brownies. Then we've got Enid Blyton's Story Time. I picked these up in a charity shop actually. I think I picked this one up, and I think it's a Brer Rabbit. Yeah, they're both £2 each. So I pick them up. I do pick them up whenever I see them. It's usually the Dean and Sons ones as well. I'll pick them up. Obviously, there's lots of Enid Blyton books that can go for a huge amount of money. If you can find first editions, you're talking thousands. So yeah. And then we have The Adventures of Pip. Again, these are all for the younger reader ones, but we all had them read to us. Tales of Toyland. So like we were saying, these were the ones that were really popular. Like I was saying to you, how people write in books. It says here, to Leanne, lots of love, Auntie Anne, Uncle David, Katie, Sarah, Happy Christmas 1984. Oh yeah. And then this was a particularly favourite of mine as well. So we have this one, which is one of my favourites as well when I was a young child, Mr. Meddle Muddles. I love the the titles of her books as well. Some of them really, really good, aren't they? Yeah. So, and I used to like him because it would be story after story of different things that Mr. Meddle would get up to. So that was good. Then you have Stories for You, which again was around for the younger generation. Obviously, you know, you had things that weren't quite PC in books like this. Adventure of the Wishing Chair. So again, younger viewers. I think it was all. Yes, it was all about little folk, wasn't it? Fairy folk. They were very cute. So yes, that's the Adventure of the Wishing Chair, and then the Wishing Chair again. So just they had two there. Also, I said about Mallory Towers. I've got one of Mallory Towers, but I did actually have a box set of Mallory Towers, but the the paperback ones, and they're in like a box set. And yeah, they were a couple of pounds in a charity shop in Yorkshire, and I actually sold them for £45 on eBay. So they definitely still hold their revenue, certain things, and I think box sets are much more desirable, for want of a better word. So yeah, so I just think that, you know, that Enid Blyton definitely still, you know, obviously to this day, I mean, you know, they're still, you know, reproducing, you know, all of her still, and they're just, the illustrations are slightly different, but she's well known all over the world. So yeah, so I really enjoyed her reading as a child, because I got a lot out of it, you know, and I think as well that it instills morals and values as well, especially with the Mallory Towers series as well. You know, there's lots of moralistic things going on there, you know, lots of values, you know, people sticking up for each other, you know, as it should be. So yeah, and also The Secret Seven. I think I said to you, not my favourite. Sorry, but not. But again, good detective ones with children, sort of like, you know, discovering things and, you know, trying not to get caught. And The Secret Seven Society. So yeah. So, and as I said to you, as a reseller, they still do hold their value. And particularly the first edition ones definitely do. And when I was actually like thinking about this video and things, and you know, about writing it and seeing what I was going to put and things, it was actually a memory that came to me, funny enough. I just had memories of sort of like sitting by an open fire, which is what we had when we were young. And obviously there used to be ice on the windows, actually on the inside of the windows. and sort of like, you know, homemade biscuits that my mother had made, and hot chocolate, reading third or fourth book of Mallory Towers as quick as I could. I think it was just before Christmas, because every year I would have the next book under the Christmas tree or in my stocking, and I couldn't wait. So that's what I loved about it. Yeah. So I really hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. I do apologise the way I'm talking. I have a really bad cold, but I did promise that I would do a video every day, and I don't want to let you down, so hence the reason of my voice. But yeah, I just hope that you all have a really lovely, wonderful evening. Vlogmas 7, which was yesterday, obviously was a hamper. If you haven't seen it yet, please go back and have a look. It's a giveaway, so just you have to put in the comments on that actual video what Christmas memories mean to you. Is there a favourite Christmas memory you've got? I'm just popping in, and then it goes to the 20th of December, and I'll choose the winner, and then yeah, I'll send that to the winner. But yeah, so I hope you've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed making this video. You know, Vlogmas is, you know, 24 videos, you know, and I do have a rather special one coming up in a few days as well, so I'm looking forward to that one. And yeah, just hope that you're all okay, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.